Obviously, it's been a painful week because normally when you get a defeat at home, you won a game straight away. It wasn't the case, but we used that as well to reflect on what we are doing, to analyze why that happened. I think we were all shocked the way we end up the game, the last 25, 30 minutes. Before that, it was a different game, but still, that we have to improve in many areas. That consistency is something that obviously we need to get much better at. And after the good result and the brilliant performance that we had at Old Trafford, to get that lost, it was a shock in the system for everybody. But let's take the positive out from them, learn and move on.
Well, we've heard from Mikel Arteta. Now it's your turn as Leeds v Arsenal is this topic for this week's Friday Fan Forum, with Robbie ready to answer your questions. So, as ever, use the hashtag PLFans to get in touch and send in your questions and videos for our expert panel. Remember that anything you send in to us could be used across Premier League programming around the world. And first up today, we've got Zach from Canada, who's an Arsenal fan and has a question for all these guys.
Who would be your front three? For me personally, I think Saka, Aubameyang and Pepe, front three should be probably the way to go against Leeds. But at the moment, it also feels like Saka has probably played a lot of minutes. He's played for England. Maybe he could use a rest. So who would be your front three for Arsenal, Robbie?
All right, Zach's asking who would play the front three for you for Arsenal.
I would play Aubameyang as a 9. I know he plays on the left-hand side, drifts in, got so many goals from that position. That's one thing I would do. I think since he signed his new contract, has he only got 1 goal, I think?
He's only scored 1 from open play this season. Yeah.
Yeah, so... he scored the penalty at Manchester United, didn't he? But I'd play Aubameyang as a 9, and either side, who would you play either side, Tim? Or would you play Aubameyang as a on the left-hand side?
I would play Aubameyang wherever he wanted to play. I would ask him. Where are they going to get the goals from? Yeah. I mean, history shows you he's the only one who really scores on a regular basis. If I'm Mikel Arteta, I'm getting him in the office and I'm saying, where do you want to play? And who do you want to play around you? And if you agree with it, Mikel, I think Willian, I would play. Willian, definitely. Maybe Saka.
Yeah.
Saka or Pepe, not Lacazette at the moment. He hasn't done it on a consistent basis.
Miguel, it seems interesting because it felt like Arsenal did absolutely everything they could to get Aubameyang that contract and tie him down at the club. Yet, as Tim and Robbie have said, he's playing out of his favoured position. Why isn't Mikel Arteta playing him down the middle? And all the fans are calling for it.
Yeah, and it's become a real trend now. There's a lot of stats doing the round about not just the drop-off in goals, but the drop-off in Aubameyang's general contribution from the wing. I mean, the only thing you can really think of is that Arteta, he must be trying to do something with his team, or he's persisting with it because he's trying to develop into a specific way of playing. But is the cost of that too great?
But he's always played out wide. I don't know what to say. It's not as if they've changed his position. This is where he wants to play, obviously. You know, I talked about bringing him in the office and asking him. He'd probably say absolutely where he's playing, because these goals we're seeing is when he's playing on the left-hand side. He loves it with the touchline on his backside. Can't get kicked there.
Inside.
He can take the ball and he drifts inside and he bends it in a corner like Thierry Henry did, the greatest player possibly they've ever had, apart from Ian Wright. Sorry, Wright.
I hope he's not watching. All right, let's get to the next question now. We've got Tarasai from Zimbabwe who wants to talk about Arsenal's midfield.
Since our strikers have been starved of the ball, how will Arteta line up the midfield since that Partey and Elneny, they are injured? How should he line up the team on Sunday?
Ceballos, you know, he done well, didn't he, when he was on loan last season? He's there. Can he be at that creative spot in the middle of the park?
They lack options.
Yeah.
Definitely lack options. A team of Arsenal's calibre, you know, to not have any midfield players. I've got an answer for him, but it can't happen. Mesut Ozil. How on earth can he not have a squad number and be part of this squad? They lack creativity in the middle of the park. Partey is going to be a massive miss, obviously. Ceballos is second rate for me to Ozil. You know, you're going to end up with Xhaka. Maitland-Niles possibly might step into that area. They've got options, but not real quality options.
They do lack that pass, don't they? That's of all things they're missing in midfield. That's probably the biggest. Just kind of. And I remember I was at the game last season. when they're at home to Leicester, actually. And so he was good in that game, but again, it was just, it was almost, as you say, it's second rate, essentially. It's just, there's not that link between the middle of the pitch and the strike, and it makes the whole team look that bit more flat.
Since Thomas Partey's come in, what do you think he's changed about that midfield, Tim, and why is he such a miss?
Well, he's got more to his game. I mean, he can pick up the ball, he can break up the play. He played for Simeone at Atletico Madrid. If you're not responsible and be able to work, you don't play if you're at Simeone's side. We know he had that to his game, but when he comes to Arsenal, he can also drive forward through the ball. I don't think there's a great blend around him in the middle of the park there. I think he needs a little bit of help with other players in there. Sabellas, for me, no. I think it's a difficult one. That is where they really struggle. You know, and no wonder Aubameyang's not scoring the goals. You know, because if teams are not sitting in against them and they're counter-attacking against them, they're always best against at the Emirates, wherever they go. The Etihad, against the Man Cities, against the Liverpools, against the Man Uniteds, when they can sit in and play on a counter-attack. If they need to take possession of the ball, they haven't got the creativity in the midfield areas.
So where do you think Arsenal are at under Arteta now? Because I think when you actually look at his record compared to Unai Emery's, it's surprisingly actually worse off. Whereas the perception I feel that we get as fans watching football is that Arteta has done better. But actually, when you look at the numbers, he hasn't. Well,
because he's went in there and he's won an FA Cup, which is a great return, you know, to win a trophy in such a short space of time with the squad of players what he had. But he inherited a mess there from Emery. Obviously, there was a cloud hanging over the football club. Mikel, for some reason, has lifted that cloud. I mean, why that has lifted is because of the FA Cup. It can't be anything other than that, because their record at the last part of the Premier League season last year was the worst since 1994. So, you know, it hasn't been a great return on the league side. I mean, what is the objective for Arsenal Football Club? What is success for them? I'm not sure. I think if you ask the directors, they will say finishing the Champions League. I think they've got no chance.
Really?
Yeah.
Miguel, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I go that far. I mightn't have said that a few weeks ago after the win against United, but this has been the problem with Arsenal, that they can go from that then to whatever happened against Aston Villa, and it's happening too often this season. I mean, the one thing, in regards to the cloud lifting, the one thing you hear when you talk with people, when you talk to people around Arsenal, is that, Mikel has given us a greater identity. Everyone feels they're pulling in the same direction. Everything's much clearer. But we're not seeing that clarity in terms of results, because they're one of the most inconsistent teams in the league in that regard, given their quality, even if there are questions about their top four quality. And it means, I think, this game this weekend, you wouldn't be surprised if it went either way. It's so difficult to predict.
Part of that, though, with regards to Arteta, has to be down to the perception that he brings and that aura that he brings, having obviously been a club legend, but also coming from Manchester City, managing alongside Pep Guardiola, that status that he brings, that's probably why there is a positivity there.
Absolutely. What the fans are probably thinking, like we talked about Steve Bruce earlier, about it's a journey, it's not where he wants to be. There's no way Mikel Arteta, coming from Man City and playing in the teams what he's played in, wants to continue to play this way. He doesn't want to play counter-attacking football. He wants to take possession. He wants to dominate games. He wants to control in the midfield areas. At the moment, he hasn't got the players to do it. So he's working with what he's got to try and get the best results. And you'd have to say it's a tick in the box. He's moved them in the right direction. To win an FA Cup at a very early stage of his managerial career has to be a success. Now, if he finished 8th in the Premier League this year, I'm not saying he's going to, but I think top 6 is the best they can hope for. Would that be a success? I'm not so sure.
OK, let's talk about Leeds now. We're going to go to social media for our final question, which comes from Nick, who's in the USA. He's posted on Twitter to say, do you worry about burnout with Bielsa's team? Hashtag PL fans. I feel like we talk about this a lot, about whether or not this Bielsa side is eventually going to kind of start slowing down. Have we seen that already?
Well, the results suggest we have, but are they going to burn out? I think that's the way he plays. That's the way he wants his teams to play. I think they are the fittest team in the league. They're still wearing the tracking systems in the back of their shirts. He demands they run more than any other teams. It's a long, hard season in the Premier League. It's tough. The competition is always tough. There's no gimme games. There's no rest games. So they're going to have to be full pelt all of the way. He would argue if they're not running at a high intensity what they're running now, they will never be in contention to stay in the Premier League. Are they going to get relegated? Surely that has to be the objective, to stay in the league. No, they're not getting relegated.
You know what's interesting there as well? I mean, usually with the Bielsa teams, a traditional kind of burnout has come at the end of the season for obvious reasons. Now, that would have been so, this year it would have been in March. and they probably would have had enough to stay up anyway, or sorry, to go up anyway because they were so far ahead. But because of the 4-month break due to COVID, it meant there was a 4-month break. Well, I mean, it meant that the team, when the restart happened, suddenly they avoided the burnout because they hadn't played football. So I do wonder whether it means the burnout now will come mid-season. Right. Because of the fact that it's everything's pushed on. They haven't had a pre-season, or they haven't had a full pre-season, just because everything's so crunched together. And we might see now all that physical fatigue at the moment.
And you think about Leeds, although everybody's talking about them in such glowing because they've just come up from the Championship, but they're below Newcastle in the league. Yet Steve Bruce will get criticised from Newcastle fans, yet Bielsa is adored. Yes, it's their first season in the Premier League, but they play it's 4-1, 4-3. There's goals in their game, attractive style of football. Yet they're below Newcastle in the table. And if you said to you right now, if you had, your last pound, who would you put your money on to stay up? Newcastle, Leeds, who would it be?
Oh, Newcastle.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember thinking before the season began, though, with Leeds, you could believe as easily that they'd finish just outside the top 6, or they could go down, because they really are. They're hard to predict in that way, and it's the same with every individual game they play.
They score plenty of goals, but they've also conceded the most in the league, Tim.
That's always going to be the way with his sides. I mean, he plays with a philosophy where it's always on the front foot. No matter who we play, I will give my players the confidence to go toe-to-toe. We saw them at Liverpool first game of the season. They lost the game, but they made a real game of it. They're encouraging for us all. For spectators and pundits, to watch a Leeds game is going to be entertaining because there's goals at both ends. But that's the way Bielsa goes about it. That is why there's more positivity about Leeds than there is against Newcastle. But ultimately, it's all about the results.
Yeah. Are you on a bit of a Newcastle campaign today?
No. I just think that, listen, we love football, we love the Premier League, we love all the teams in the Premier League, but Newcastle, I just think there's something that Steve Bruce gets criticised, but as players and as ex-manager, for me, concerned about is the result. Yeah, I do not care about the way if I was a captain. I don't care as long as we got a result. If it's the last minute, we have one shot on target to goal. That's all we cared about, wasn't it?
It's different if they're a mid-table side, they're already safe. Then I think you'll see the shackles come off. Yeah. I think then you'll see the teams playing on the front foot, and that's when Steve Bruce will want to play the way he wants the supporters to experience it.
Yeah. All right, let's take another break now. After this, though, we've still got Robbie's predictions to come.
Newcastle are going to win.
As well as that, we're going to be focusing